never gets old. Welcome back to Filmmaster Reviews, I'm Adam J. So after the fun yet slightly disappointing movie that was Age of Ultron and the pile of rehashed dog shit that was Ant-Man, we now have our favorite MCU superheroes duking it out in Captain America Civil War. Due to Scarlet Witch accidentally causing an explosion, the Secretary of State, General Thunderbolt Ross, puts together the Sokovia Accords, which would make the Avengers a solely sanctioned government unit, only able to act under the government's consent. Captain America opposes this while Stark is for it, and each of the Avengers is forced to pick a side. Meanwhile, the writers finally remembered that this is a Captain America movie, as Steve Rogers finds himself trying to find Bucky, the Winter Soldier, when Bucky is framed for something he didn't do. This causes controversy between the Avengers, who soon find themselves fighting each other, joined by two new characters, Black Panther and Spider-Man. Now first, let me just say off the bat, this is a big improvement over the last two MCU films. There's more conflict, more development for certain characters, and even Black Panther fits seamlessly into the story despite this being his first appearance. When I first heard of the lineup for Phase 3, I didn't really care about Black Panther or have much ambition to see his solo film. Chadwick Boseman completely turned me around on that. He is a badass as Black Panther, and I can't wait to see this character again. The action is just wonderful. The airport sequence alone is brilliant, and each Avenger gets a chance to shine. The stuff with Captain America, Bucky, and Iron Man is great, and we do get to see them grow more as characters. The fight between Iron Man and Captain America is great. Tom Holland is an awesome Spider-Man. Loved his sense of humor, I loved his childlike nature, and I loved his need to constantly try and impress Tony Stark. It was really funny. However, this movie is far from perfect. I've heard people calling it a triumph and the best MCU film, and I cannot agree with that. Despite all the great things in it, I actually found Captain America Civil War to be very clumsy in many areas, especially with its villain, who I'll talk about in a minute. First of all, the biggest issue with this movie, and I'll admit I was dreading this going into it, was that it felt more like an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie. Don't get me wrong, they do keep Captain America in the forefront of the film, as he should be, and much of the movie involves his relationships with Bucky Barnes and Tony Stark. But the central conflict of the movie involved the Avengers, as does the main villain. The main villain of the film, Baron Zemo, is after all of the Avengers for the events of Age of Ultron. The Sokovia Accords revolve mostly around Age of Ultron. The whole reason Tony is against Cap in the first place is because of something that happened during Age of Ultron. This film, regardless of whether it keeps Cap in the forefront or not, works better as an Avengers sequel than it does a Captain America sequel, to the point where at times it feels like two separate films. Now, Daniel Bruhl is a brilliant actor, and he does bring a lot of depth to his character, Baron Zemo, but while Baron Zemo is a decent character, he is a terrible villain. Almost everything he does in this film revolves around happenstance. Certain things had to go his way at the exact moment in order for his plan to work, and by the end, I just didn't buy it. I'm gonna give you a minor spoiler here, but for those who have seen the film, if Zemo's plan was just to show Tony that footage of what Bucky did so that Tony and Cap would fight, how did he even know Tony would follow them? How did he know Tony would even know where to go? Tony had no idea where the fuck they were until he talked to one of the other Avengers. Like, your whole master plan doesn't make sense now. And I'm sorry, if you have the codes to control all these ungodly powerful super soldiers, why would you kill them? Dude, the Avengers can barely take down one of these guys. If you really want to kill the Avengers, fucking use them! You're an idiot! While I also really like the conflict in this film, it doesn't really hold much water. The whole reason behind the conflict, the more I think about it, is just so asinine. General Thunderbolt Ross, of all people, as you saw in the trailer, is the one that tells them about the Sokovia Accords and how they cause too much destruction and how they need to be kept in check and how they cause too many civilian casualties. Yeah. General Ross, aren't you the same asshole who created the Abomination by giving a clearly unstable soldier Captain America's super soldier serum? And didn't the Abomination kind of wreck Harlem? And didn't Hulk kind of have to clean up your mess? Yeah. Probably not the best character to tell them about this, I'm just saying. Oh, and you want to bring up the destruction of New York? Oh, okay. I seem to remember the government launching a fucking nuke at the city. And even if they didn't, S.H.I.E.L.D., the government, were the ones experimenting with the portal that brought Loki and the aliens to Earth. How is the Avengers saving your ass from your mistakes their problem? How about the Washington, D.C. incident in Winter Soldier where you showed the casualties getting killed on camera? Yeah, I seem to remember a shit ton of helicarriers, created by the government, by the way, being controlled by Hydra, about to annihilate half the planet! I'm sorry, doesn't Star Trek have a really good phrase for this?
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
Or the one.
The only incident that's even relevant to all of this is Sokovia, because while they did save the planet from being destroyed, Tony Stark still created Ultron. But even then, that's only relevant to Tony Stark and none of the other Avengers. They were helping Stark clean up his mess to save the world. They should not have to be accountable for his shit. Not to mention, the whole incident that sparks this whole event, it did nothing but confirm what I said about the fight in Wakanda in Age of Ultron being completely worthless. Are the Wakandans in the film protesting that? Is that how they got Black Panther into this movie? No, because that would have made too much fucking sense with what they already had set up. No, they create a whole new random incident where Scarlet Witch accidentally causes an explosion that kills a bunch of Wakandan casualties. I mean, how convenient. You made this so much more complicated than it needed to be. And you know what would have made this film more like a Captain America film and less like an Avengers film? Scrap Zemo altogether and make Crossbones the villain. Crossbones was set up in Winter Soldier, and he would have a legitimate reason for wanting to split up the Avengers because Cap fucked up his face. That would have been a great way to follow up Winter Soldier while still incorporating the rest of the Avengers. But no, despite being set up all throughout Winter Soldier, he's just abruptly killed off for no reason in the beginning. It's such a waste, and instead we get a useless shoehorn villain in Zemo. Fuck you. Speaking of shoehorn characters, and I hate to say this, Spider-Man was awesome. He had no reason to be in this movie. If you took him out of this film, not a thing would be different. He's not made important to the story at all. He's in the film for fan service and nothing else. The same can literally be said for Ant-Man. Both Ant-Man and Spider-Man are literally in this movie to fight at an airport. That's it. They aren't completely unwelcome like Zemo. Hell, I'll even say it, they got some of the best scenes in the movie. But the story just didn't need them, and they feel so superfluous in the long run. So yeah, the movie is far from perfect, but that being said, I did have a pretty good time with this. I still loved watching these actors work off each other, the action is spectacular, the fight choreography is great, and even the acting is fantastic. I would argue that Evans and Downey Jr. give their best performances as Cap and Iron Man in this film. The movie does keep the focus where it needs to be, on Cap's relationship with Bucky and Tony. Everything done there is fun to watch play out. However, almost everything within the story makes it feel like the third Avengers movie as opposed to the third Captain America movie, and that's not a good thing. Overall, I'm giving Civil War a B and calling it a day. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more.
This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony.
You just started a war. Stay down. Final warning.
I could do this all day.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to roost!
Hey everyone.